I've ever heard. That's exactly what it is.
Interesting.
Thomas Paine, an Englishman who came off the boat in Philadelphia, failure in everything, and he contracted dysentery or typhus on the way, and he writes this pamphlet that's published in early January of 1776. At that point, the war has already started at Lexington and Concord the previous April, but nobody's really sure what we're going to do with this rebellion. And certainly independency, as they called it, is not on the mind of everybody. But he writes this thing called Common Sense. It's this pamphlet, the most important pamphlet in American history, and just comes out and says the king is an ass.
Who's this, Thomas Paine?
Yeah, Thomas Paine, And he then says, not since the time of Noah, what happened with Noah, do we have a chance to remake the world. And that's the American Revolution. It's suddenly, you're no longer quarreling over Native American land or taxes or representation. You're actually into the biggest idea that human beings have suggested, that we could actually govern ourselves. No, that had never happened before. Wow. And that we could sustain and we then these ideas sponsor revolutions for the next 200 plus years. And, we've been going along for 249 years, pretty well, thank you.
And we're in it. Thank you very much. That's a great answer.
I love the love letter to the future, though, man. I'm not going to forget that. That's a great gift you gave me today. Thank you.
Oh, man.
That's what it is, because it's all about
you said it's the pursuit of happiness, right?
That's
it's like,
right.
Sometimes even now you're challenging the way that I've thought about some of this, because it's like, and the documentary does this, and I think it's 8 parts. I'm not sure.
Six parts, 12 hours.
I haven't watched all of it, but it challenges you to think about that. It's like, you're not just here to just be here, right? No. You're not just here like you got this Willy Wonka ticket, like to be in a citizen or a part of a society. It's something that is alive and that's evolving, and you need to constantly put it under the microscope.
That's correct.
And you need to put you under the microscope, right?
That's right.
We don't have a relationship with ourselves. That's one thing I think a lot of people don't have a relationship with themselves anymore. And so I think when you're not sitting there and thinking and contemplating where you're at and how the world's affecting you and how you can affect the world, I think it starts to limit us to just looking at our Declaration of Independence almost just as like a receipt of times, instead of as a living document, or more of like a living will and testament.
I don't know how it could be said any better than that. I think we wear too many things instead of be too many things. We wear our faith and use it as a cudgel. If there's one thing I learned about making films about the U.S. and us, is that there's only us. There's no them. And people are always creating a them to make an enemy in order to postpone the active work that I have to do, that self-investigation. And that's, interestingly enough, that self-reflective sense that I need to improve. Mark Twain once said, nothing so needs improving as other people's habits. Like, we're always ready to say how, man, you should do this differently. You should do that differently. But we're not willing to, I have an ancestor, the Scottish poet Robert Burns, who said, "Oh, would some power the gift to give us to see ourselves as others see us." And I think that this whole work of not just wearing your ideas like a piece of clothing, of fashion, but absorbing them and living it is the big dynamic. So everybody, it is in the interest of an authoritarian to have everybody be a kind of superstitious peasant, right? Uneducated, not improving, not in pursuit of happiness and lifelong learning, which is what they all meant.
That's where they want us. That's where the rulers want you there.
They want you in a place where you're passive, where you're distracted by your things and your whatever and this scandal and stuff like that. Eleanor Roosevelt once said that great people discuss ideas, average people discuss events, and small minds discuss other people, and you realize the extent to which our whole culture is based on kind of judgment, not of ourselves, not with the self-reflective scrutiny that all of our religious teachings, all of our philosophy, and all of the common sense of negotiating this complicated thing that we call our lives suggest, but abandoning that in favor of, I can tell you what you're doing, and I can tell you what he's doing wrong, but oh no, I'm fine here. I believe
Well, it's
this.
nice. It's nice to because it's fucking painful to look at yourself.
That is.
And I think it's painful, or I don't know if it's painful. It was inventive of these guys at the time. And the American Revolution, it often gets classified as like 1776. That's the year everybody has. But your documentary, it kind of goes, I think, from 75 or to 83.
Well, we start at 55 and back up and show you, the French and Indian War. What we call the French and Indian War was really called the 7 Years' War, which is probably the third global war over the prize of North America. And our revolution is the fourth global war. We don't like to think of it as a global war, so it leads up to it. But at the end of the first episode, Lexington Concord happens in 1775. By 1776, the land we're sitting on, by the way, is farmland. Mm-hmm. The biggest battle of the revolution will take place on the Battle of Long Island, which we lose because of George Washington, who's the most important person in the history of the United States. Without him, we don't have a country because of his mistakes. So nobody's perfect. Everybody's pretty complicated. And
wait, we don't have a country because of his mistakes?
No.